I ran marketing departments in corporate America for 10 years and then ran a digital agency for over another 10 years. So I know the roadmap to online success, and that formula always includes producing content to share your message, from your marketing message to sales and delivery. Hi, I'm Jennifer Neal, and you're listening to the Content Toolbox. I believe the secret to finding and creating raving fans online is through you. In building relationships through stories that share who you really are, create genuine, crazy, raving fans that keep begging you to take their money. And on this podcast, we'll be talking strategies, tactics, tips, and more with myself and other industry experts. So buckle up and start your engines, because it's go time. Okay, welcome back. I would like to welcome to the show today my very good friend, Miss Geeta Nadkarni, with a new business model that I am so excited about. I've just been chatting with her about it. I honestly, I can't wait for you guys to hear about this because it ties right into exactly everything we've been working on. So thank you so much for your time. Welcome, Geeta.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So Geeta and I met, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many years ago, but it's been quite a while.
5? Yeah, don't know. Forever ago, especially in internet terms.
You were just pregnant with your second.
That's true. So this would be almost, 4.5, 5 years ago.
Yep. Wow.
Crazy.
And I saw her on stage and saw her talking, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be one of my new good friends. So I went and introduced myself, and here we are.
Exactly. We've been, and it's funny, we've been each other's clients since then. We've worked together since then. We've hung out together since then. It's been, you're my people, Jennifer. What can I tell you? Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So I know a little bit about your background, but let's go ahead and have you share a little bit about your story and kind of how you got where you are today.
So it's one of those things where the older you get, you're like, wait, that's a lot of story. So let me see. Let me see. Let's chop this down. Okay. So I became a storyteller because I almost flunked English language, which I grew up in Mumbai in India. And there we have the British schooling system. So we have a whole paper dedicated, 100-mark paper dedicated to English language, comprehension, essay writing, grammar, all of that good stuff. And I hated essay writing with a passion. It was my arch nemesis. Now, the problem is that my dad is heavily lauded for, he's a journalist and he's won lots of awards for his writing and so on. So he was horrified that anyone carrying his DNA would flunk essay writing. So he was just like, never. And Indian parents are very dramatic. So he made me, and I was 10 years old at the time, he made my sisters, my 2 younger sisters and I sit down and write 3 essays a week, all summer vacation long, or we couldn't go out to play. So to his credit, he made it really interesting. And this is something that I absolutely plan on doing with my children the second they are literate. They're a little bit young right now. But the way he had it, like we would cut images out of magazines and create fictitious characters. So we each had a scrapbook. And then we would write reviews of our favorite bedtime stories. We would write book report, reports on family outings. And he would patiently sit and correct them and be like, hey, you could use a metaphor. Let me explain what a metaphor is. And then he would teach me all these different techniques that you can use to make your writing visual. And it was so interesting because, and this is pertinent to our audience, often the thing that we have the biggest resistance to is our gift. It was in my case. And I was really lucky that I had a coach very early on in my life to not take any crap from me, to not buy my story of resistance and to bust me through those blocks. Because by the end of that first summer at age 10, I realized that this is what I was born to do. By the time I was 12 years old, I was getting paid to be published. So I've been a journalist. I've been a paid writer since I was 12 years old. And throughout that time, I ended up working in the media in multiple countries. I now live in Canada. I've worked for the CBC, which is our version of the BBC. I've been on television. I've had my own column across the country. I've been on billboards and shit, whatever. And when I had my first child, my son, about 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago at this point, I realized that I was kind of done with corporate and I was never going to go back. And then I was like, oh, fuck. Are we allowed to swear on this? We are now. So I was like, oh shit, like what do I do? All I know how to do is tell stories. And I feel like I've milked it in every context. I've done it for mainstream press. I've freelanced on the side, but none of that shit pays any real money, not in any sustainable way. And I wanted to have time. So I had to figure out, how do I unhook time and value? I had never done that before. I had never really understood. I had freelanced and I kind of had a sense of it, but even that was many, many hours of research and you had to write the whole thing. It was all very done for you and blah, blah, blah. So I had to figure out a whole new way to understand my gift and to apply it in this new context. And since the universe speaks to us through Facebook ads, I don't know if that's you, but that is certainly me. I suddenly started getting targeted by all these ads for build your course and, to take your expertise online and so on and so forth. So I was like, oh, like there it is. Oh my God, I'm going to be able to do this. So if you're sitting at home in a pandemic and thinking, oh shit, like this is exactly where I'm at. Well, here's the universe speaking to you. And it happens to be Jennifer's podcast. You're welcome. So all this to say, I spent all my life savings and, I had some extra money that was on credit cards on purchasing help to get, I knew I was very good at what I did, which was tell stories and teach other people to tell stories. What I didn't know how to do was build a business around it, which was a completely different skill. And I didn't understand online. I was my family Luddite. I was like, ugh, tech, what? So all of that. So I launched Baby Got Booked, which is how you and I met. And I ended up doing speaking tours, which I don't even know, that kind of was, again, a surrender. The universe brought it to me and I was smart enough to say, okay, even though I'd never done speaking in that context before. I was like, all right, well, I mean, how could this go badly? I've been on stage since I was 3. I just have never done this before. And again, I had to figure out, how do I take the gift that I have and update it to the opportunity that was being presented to me. So that happens to be a skill that I have now honed a lot throughout my journey. And this is the skill that I help other experts hone so that they can see how to take their existing expertise and then unhook dollars from hours and unhook that old equation that keeps them stuck under a ceiling in terms of earning capacity and how much value they can put out in the world, and learn to build businesses that scale. So what we do now with Impact with Influence is we take experts who are freaking amazing at what they do, and we help them clarify their messaging, figure out exactly who they are, and like if you look at a Venn diagram, the two overlapping circles, one circle is you, the other circle is your ideal client. And what we teach you how to do is figure out how you and your ideal client fully overlap. So we're talking deep subconscious messaging. We're not talking about paddling around the surface where all the competition lives and everybody's like competing on price. If you want to really stand out from the noise, then you've got to talk to people where they live. You have to go into the dark cavern of their deepest fear, their deepest desire, the things that they're too scared to share, to say out loud, even to themselves, let alone to other people. The things that they have not admitted that they want, the things that they're too scared to own. You have to go there. And the only way that I know to go there is to go there yourself for your own stuff. So when we work with clients, we don't just help them with their messaging and how to design their programs and how to sell and get media for it and stuff. We actually work full on with a mindset team that uses multiple modalities, including hypnotherapy, to surface all of that old, repressed, suppressed, denied pieces of yourself, all the dark stuff that you're just like, I don't want to have to face that. I don't know what to do with that. Oh my God, here it comes, right? Like if we don't deal with that first, then it shows up on sales calls. It shows up in the way it shows up in our business. It always does because it's seeking to be healed. That was a really long answer. Yeah.
It's fantastic though. I love it. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, I've been doing a lot of therapy myself, doing all this, like I love, because it's so true. Like as much as we don't want to admit, that mindset stuff is like the biggest hurdle that we have to
Always. Like, honestly, you could have the most brilliant gift in the world and you can have people clamoring for it. But if you have judgment, and I'll give you an example of something that we have a whole thread going. I have a Facebook group called Messaging That Makes Money. Don't look for Messaging Makes Money or something, because there's another group that sounds somewhat similar to ours. It's Messaging That Makes Money. It's a free group on Facebook. Go look at it. Go come join it. Make sure to answer the questions or the admins will kick you out or won't let you in the first place. But something we talked about was just the term coach, right? Just that. People have so much energy and judgment and negativity around the term coach. Now, when you are bringing all of this judgment, all judgment that you have towards other people is just projected judgment that you have on towards yourself. If you don't resolve this first, it's going to color the way that you show up. When you turn your camera on, you're going to have that judgment in the back of your mind. It's going to affect what is allowed to come out. It's going to affect the level of permission you give yourself to show up and fully own the gift and fully call out your ideal client. So if you don't get help resolving the judgment first, your messaging is always going to be kind of milquetoast, right? It's going to be bland. It's going to sound like everybody else. It's not going to sing. And one of the things that we do best is help you own that authentic voice. Like we spend a fraction of what I'm told competitors in our space spend on acquiring customers because the messaging, when your messaging is that clear, you don't have to market a whole heck of a lot. It carries. We have people who haven't yet worked with us because they're worried that they can't afford to. We've had them refer other people to us already. And we're sending referral fees to perfect strangers on the internet because, like, I'm serious. That's powerful messaging. When is the last time that you had to send a referral fee to somebody who hasn't even worked with you yet, who's trying to earn the money so they can join your program? And meanwhile, they're referring all their friends to you. Like that's good messaging. That's what we help our clients build.
That's amazing. There's a lot in there. I just want to unpack a tiny bit.
Please go.
So a lot of what we talk about is that the thing that really truly connects you to people is through storytelling. And the reason that storytelling connects you to people is because you are transferring an emotional feeling. And you can't transfer that emotional feeling unless you actually know what that emotion is.
And you have permission to fully feel it. Yes. If you can't feel it, then you can never go to the depths of it. You touch about, when people talk about mindset or scarcity or limiting beliefs, and then they talk about that and then they kind of move on and you're like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, what do I do with that? I don't know what to do. Like, I admit that I have scarcity, but what does that mean? And they don't have anything more to give you because they haven't resolved. There's that whole unexplored piece in their own psyche. If you don't go there, then you become like everybody else. Then that authenticity is lost. But if you can resolve your pain around a certain piece of your journey where you may have felt shame, where you may have self-blamed, where you have judged yourself or received judgment from those you love, when you go back and you heal that, when you forgive them and yourself for everything that went down, then you can tell that story from a place of deep compassion. When you do that, you're opening a door for everybody else who resonates with that story to walk through, to leave their past where it belongs, to embrace compassion for themselves and for everybody else who may have played a role in that, in creating that situation. That's what we do. And when you tell that story that way, like it's not just a story. It's no longer marketing. It becomes a spiritual experience. So your business becomes an extension of your spirituality.
Oh, that is so deep. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay. So, and really what we were talking about just before we even started here, but you're taking the essence of a person and finding those stories, and you're using that to help sculpt not only their business model, but then extending that out to reach out to their actual ideal clients. So it's like all your message. Yeah. Everything has to be in alignment, because the thing that is very exhausting, think about it, right? You are one whole person. If your energy is split, then all of a sudden it's in different pieces. What ends up happening with many of us, so if you're ever feeling that sense of burnout or overwhelm or exhaustion, and it's not like the happy, oh, I got so much done today exhaustion. It's like the, oh God, am I ever going to get anything done exhaustion, right? That's because you're fragmented. Your self is now fragmented, and you're managing keeping all the different pieces of yourself disconnected. It's a lot of energy. A really good metaphor for this, a really good way that I explain this to our clients is, imagine you're walking down the streets of Iraq, okay? And there's a sniper
on the roof. You know he's there. You can't see him. He can see you, but you can't see him. Now, I want you to think how much of your attention, how much of your consciousness is devoted to that sniper?
I would say probably a good 80%.
Exactly. So think about it. 80% is devoted to someone or something that you can't see, you have not identified, you have zero interactions with, right? Now think about how much of your attention and energy is available to what's in front of you. What is the experience that you're having down where you're walking? What about the people that you're interacting with? How are you going to parse the information when somebody looks at you a certain way? Like, how are you going to react? Like, how are you going to take that information and then how are you going to do something about it? That's what having subconscious judgment is like. You're devoting so much attention to what you don't want to have happen that all the abundance, everything that you seek, all the treasure that you're looking for is right under your nose, but you just keep walking past it in a daze of panic or in a panic, right? Because you're like, oh, the sniper. So what we help our clients do, and again, this is from doing it myself. I work with the same mindset coaches on our team that our clients work with to this day. I hired them because they were able to bust me through this. And I had never found anybody to be able to do that. So there are people on my team who are my teammates that we're colleagues, and they know my darkest, most devastating subconscious flaws, if you will. That's the level of alignment we create in our business because that's what it took to get me to this place where I can have this conversation with you, because I would never have been able to have this if I hadn't done this healing myself. When you finally go up onto the roof, your goal is to meet the sniper and realize that he was never a sniper. He's always been there to be your bodyguard. Now think about how you show up when you know the guy on the roof with the gun is your bodyguard, not a sniper. Completely different. Same street. Same interactions, completely different reality. That's the power of what we do. And that's why the messaging is not some templated fill in the blanks with your help statement and shit. We do use some of those items. We do use, we do have you create a help statement, but you don't need an elevator pitch. You don't need a title. You don't need an elevator pitch. Roughly 50% of our client base works with us and hands over credit card information before they know the name of our program. Why? Because the name of our program isn't going to change shit. What I call it doesn't fucking matter, truthfully. So all these things that we obsess about are ultimately irrelevant. Do you call yourself a coach? Who gives a rat's ass? Nobody. Can you demonstrate the ability to see what is actually there and help your client connect to their own truth? Yes. If yes, you've got the gig. If no, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. You could call yourself the Grand Poobah of La La Land and you still won't get the job. You know what I'm saying? So that.
Oh my gosh, that's so incredible. I love it. So like everybody just needs to go get your program if you want to actually,
Yeah. I will say this. So that, to be fair, what we do is not for everybody. And we do turn away people who come to us. So the people that we turn away are people who are very new. So they're, somebody who's worked with a life coach one time or read a book on life coaching and wants to be a life coach too early in your process. You don't have any lived experience. You can't authentically and confidently say somebody pays you $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 to work with you, that they're going to have the result that they want. Because what we do is we sell results. We don't sell some program and some modules and shit like that. Like none of that stuff matters. We need to figure out what are you aiming for? What is the journey that you need to take? What is the transformation that you're looking for? And then we're like, okay, either we're in a position to help you do that because we've lived that transformation and we know what it takes, or we love what you're doing, but it's not our wheelhouse, in which case we'll just give you a referral and you can send us business and we'll send you referral fees. But we can't help you. And we won't work with anyone that isn't building exactly what we do. So one, you have to already be really freaking awesome at what you do. That's the part we can't teach you. We can help you own the confidence around it. We can help you claim the full value of your gift. That we do. But if you don't have lived experience taking people, yourself and others, through that journey, it doesn't work. The other piece, super interesting, is what I call alignment, but I'll explain what that means, because alignment's one of those like terms like mindset. It could mean lots of different things to lots of different people. So Jennifer, if you and I were to work together, for example, I would want to make sure that whatever it is you're looking for, to the transformation that you create, in other words, for your clients, is basically the same transformation that you crave to continue on. Does that make sense? The healing that the healing that we teach is always the healing that we most seek. Without that alignment, we're not the right program, for sure. Because what I've realized is that in order for you to have the energy to go deep, there has to be a vested interest. If you're just teaching someone something theoretically, it doesn't work at this level. You have to have lived it. You have to have sweated it. You have to have bled it. You have to have, the copper taste of fear in your mouth, and you've come out the other side and you're like, I know what you're feeling right now and I can hold you, and they will believe you because they can feel that you've been there. You can't fake this. You can't template this. This is a feeling that you bring to the table. Does that make sense? So we look for people who are really fucking good at what they do. They're just like, the business part eludes me, or I've complicated it beyond belief, or I have all these limiting beliefs about this can't work and that won't work and this, that we can work with. That's our wheelhouse. But learning how to but you have to be good at what you do. You have to not be too early in your process. And that there has to be that alignment of, when you heal yourself, whether that, through your own work with your coaches, through your own process where you take your own medicines. That's something we're very strict about. It's like, what would you tell your client with the same problem? Because it's the same problem you solve. Are you taking your own medicine? If not, why aren't you taking your own medicine? We help you get into what are the blocks there? What are the resistances? We had a client who combines, she helps people with deep food allergies that have gone through the ruckus. They've gone through all the testing, and they've worked with all these doctors, and the medical system has basically given up on them. And they have all these rashes, and they're overweight, and, joint pain and blah, blah, blah. And she combines the physical healing with mental and energetic and spiritual healing. And for a while, there was a block in her where she was like, maybe the spiritual stuff is just not real. She had this limiting belief about her own program, and it was costing her sales. And we were like, your messaging is really great. You're getting calls booked, but you're not closing any. What's the deal? And she would keep telling us, no, it's a money thing. People think that it's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. And I'm like, that's not true. There's something else going on here. And then what we did was we deliberately, like our mindset team and I, we sat down and we were like, okay, how are we going to bust this person through their block? And we deliberately triggered her. We actually went there, and we were rough, but we did it. We told her we were going to do it. And we were like, okay, we're going to go in there, and we're going to and we pissed her off, and we called out the limiting belief. And I have never received a help desk ticket with so many F-bombs in it. It was intense. This work is not pretty. So is this for everybody? No, it's not. Because if you're not willing to get where it's really dirty and messy and yucky, we're not the right team for you. Because we went there. Within 12 hours, she had made her first sale.
Wow.
Because she had to be busted through her own block. It was showing up on her calls. Does that make sense? So that's the kind of work that we do.
That's so incredible. I just love the flip that you've done on this. It's so incredibly true that we have to work through that stuff. I mean, so many of us are, as entrepreneurs, I'm like, every entrepreneur should be in therapy because I love it.
Yes. Yes. And just to be clear, what we do is a little bit different from typical therapy, because therapy will often be talk therapy, right? So you're engaging your conscious mind. And I love therapy. I've done therapy. Therapy has been extremely useful. Therapy has its place. But the problem with therapy is that your conscious mind is about 10% of your actual consciousness. Your subconscious mind is the other 90%. Your subconscious mind takes zero prisoners, gives zero fucks about anything, and basically functions like a 3-year-old. So it has its deep impulses, it has its deep fears, and it is very binary and very linear and very black and white. So it's very literal in many ways. it keeps so it's connected to your central nervous system. So it's going to store trauma or the energy of trauma in your body. So you're going to have to like release some of that in order to you can talk through intellectually, be like, I know that I'm capable of this. Like, so if you've ever had that feeling, I know I'm capable of this. People a lot less qualified than me are doing it. I have the goods. I've done the work. What the blah, right? Like when you're in that place, that's because your subconscious won't allow it. So one of the things I did recently in my Facebook group, so again, if you haven't gone in there, is I walked people through an actual process that we go through with our paying clients. So I did this, I shared it with everybody for free, where I help people identify their actual subconscious limiting belief. Because if you don't know what the hell it is, how the hell are you supposed to fix it? You're just like paddling around, going in all directions, not being able to actually get to the root of it. And people, every single person who shared their ahas was like, I was shocked. I didn't realize it was this. Duh. That's why you're stuck for so long. That's why you feel that you're that close to a breakthrough. It's just not happening. So figuring out, going right to your subconscious and bringing that out. And then what we do is we create custom audios for our clients out of their one-on-one sessions. So this is your specific block. And what we do is we help you reprogram your subconscious. Then it becomes a matter of repetition, right? Every night before you fall asleep, you get into this place of deep relaxation where your brain waves, switch gears from beta to alpha. And then your subconscious mind is now interfacing with your conscious mind. They're getting on the same page. And we're like making your subconscious feel safe, bringing your subconscious into alignment, bringing your entire being now is resourcing your dream.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's so all about messaging, but it's starting from the deep
inside.
Core.
Yes.
And then how to like become consciously aware of that yourself in order to be able to share that. And that's just naturally going to automatically attract the people who want to work with you.
Exactly. The people who know they want to walk that path, the people who resonate with that message. And think about it, when you live it, you also have now lived experience in how to coach it. You're no longer coaching at the surface. So now your coaching is going to be multiple layers deeper. You're not going to, when somebody presents to you, all these people who are like, go ask your audience what they want from you. I'm like, if I did that, Jennifer, I would be making probably a quarter of what we make right now. If I let my audience tell me what they want from me or tell me what they think they need, that's helpful. Don't get me wrong, it is helpful. But if that was the whole story, again, I would be making a quarter of what we make right now. And we would not be getting the results that we got with our clients, because our clients constantly tell me that they need something, and we 99.9 times out of 10, out of 100, will find that they need something totally different. And the path to where they want to get is different from what they thought it was going to be, which is why they were stuck in the first place. So our job as coaches on our team, and this is what we drill all the time on our team, our job is to make sure that we're listening for the real truth. Our job is not to tell people what to do. Our job is not to buy their story. Our job is to help them connect to their own truth. And we have a process that we teach in our program. We embody it. We bring it to our messaging. We bring it to our group. We bring it, all these places. So we're embodying it. We're leading by example. And when you learn how to do this, then 100% of your energy becomes aligned with the real work. Then it gets juicy. Then you never get, you have loads of energy for it. It is in full alignment. Synchronicities will happen. People will fall out of the sky. Your team will expand. And you're just like, how the hell? Like, I would not have known where to look for this person. I can't tell you how many times that has happened on our team. Where would I have even found this person? And they find me and they're like, I want to work with you. And I'm like, you do? You do? Why? Why do you want to work with me? And they do. And it's like amazing. So yeah, it's a good feeling.
Oh my gosh. It's incredible. I just absolutely love what you're doing here.
And I love what you're doing. Like, I just want to throw out a little note here. Having been Jennifer's client back when she was doing more service-based stuff, like we were struggling with our Infusionsoft. This is way back in the day. And there were all these like missing pieces to our framework that we had built. And we had taken all the courses. Oh my God, all the courses. And we had cobbled together this Frankenstein's mess of a plan. And Jennifer came in, and in 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that, she like cleaned up the whole fucking thing. Best money I've ever spent. Like, so grateful. Thank you so much for bringing that simplicity to us.
Thank you.
Loved working with her. One of the most caring, honest people you will ever meet. So if you're at all on the fence about working with Jennifer as a client of hers, I will tell you, do it. Do it. She is so great. Okay, sorry, done.
Well, and I would absolutely say ditto to working with Geeta. It's amazing when you get that, just the exact right thing that you need. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Normally when I do this, I usually go through here and ask for like top tips and common mistakes. I feel like we've hit a lot of those already and just in your stories. Is there anything else that that I'd be missing, or like some basic steps for people to like start on the journey?
I think a lot of these, so if you've realized, I'm very bad at small talk, which also makes me bad at tips and tricks because they're the business coaching equivalent of small talk. They're like internet memes. They may apply to you, but they also might not. And they may mean absolutely fucking nothing. So I'm not a big fan of those. What I find is, I'll tell you what the themes that have resonated with our Facebook group. So Messaging That Makes Money, in our free group, where I'm always having conversations with the group, we create trainings based on what the group not just asks for, but what I see they need. So I'm, again, practicing exactly what I preach. I'm looking at what are the patterns that are coming up? What are the things that they're echoing from each other? What does the collective consciousness want? And what does the collective consciousness need? And that's how we create the content that we put out. And so if you're sitting there and thinking, oh God, like my business is too complicated, or I'm working all the hours and I just feel like I'm not making enough money, or, I'm stressing about money all the time and that's sapping my energy. That's the sniper, right? That may be your sniper. It's like you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, and that's all you think about. And therefore you're not available to be with your clients and see what they're actually bringing you as opportunity to help them, right? So what we do is we're in the premium coaching space. So a shift that I made in our business is we used to do a much lower ticket offer, and then we built the whole automated passive income machine where you have the lead magnet and then the upsell and then the tripwire and then the downsell and the profit maximizer and all that other jazz. If I were you, let me save you 50 grand and a couple of years of your life, huh? Fuck that noise. Just don't do it, okay? Or do it if you really feel compelled to do it, or if it feels aligned to you and if you're excited. Here's when you should do it. I take that back. You should do it if you're excited about marketing. If you're a marketer and you're like, I love to market, I would rather not coaching people, interacting with them, having those deep connections, having them vomit their crap on me, not interested. If you're not interested in any of that shit and you just want to be on camera, or you want to be writing shit behind closed doors and never interacting with actual humans, that is actually the right model. And lots of people make lots of money doing it. It is not broken. There's nothing wrong. There's no moral judgment here. I was not meant for that. That is not what interests me. I got very bored very easily trying to make that work. So if you're more interested in the deep healing, where you're like, every time somebody brings you a problem, you're like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to heal this in myself and therefore make it available healing wise to them. If that turns you on, then here's what I would recommend you do. Think really carefully about what it is you do for people. A good way that I teach our clients to do this is to say, okay, think about those weight loss pictures. You know, the typical before and after fitfluencer type pictures. Before, a person's overweight, they look tired, they're bursting out of their clothes, they look really sad. And then the after picture, they're tan, they're fit, their clothes fit better, they look 10 years younger, even though they're 6 months older. What is that transformation for your client? They come in, they pay you 5 grand, they pay you 10 grand, they pay you 25 grand. They work with you. What was there before and what is there after? And if you don't have a clear picture, then you need my help. You need help because if you build anything and you don't have this piece clear, you're basically picking out curtains for your 4th floor window before building your foundation. That's just going to come crashing down, or it's never really going to take off in the first place. Okay, so you need to be very, very clear about what that transformation actually means. That's going to help you understand how to price it. That's going to help you understand how to map it out. We teach our clients how to design programs that are built for momentum and for results. Again, if you don't know what the transformation is, you don't know what those mini milestones are that compound and create the momentum that brings them all the way to the end, how are you going to charge what you charge with integrity? You won't. You'll have to, then you'll end up dipping your price. You'll go right back to that spiral of not making enough, doing all the hours. So my suggestion is, if you're open to coaching, we simplified our business model big time. We have 2 ways to work with us. We have our super premium, it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but we've just talked about the kind of support that you get. It is the opposite of a DIY program. It is the opposite of do-it-yourself. It is very deeply supported, co-created, and done with you. We have that, which is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and we have free. Those are the 2 ways that people can work with us. Keeps things really fucking simple. You don't have the money, you're not ready yet, it's not the right time, whatever the deal is, no problem. We will serve you anyway. But when you're ready for the big thing. You're ready for the real deal. You're ready to go all the way. You're ready to get results. That's when you work with us on the other end. There's not much, actually at this point, there's nothing in between. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in between, because until I am crystal clear that I can build something that people can actually get full results from, DIY, until I'm in that place where I have done enough work on myself that path has now become blazingly clear to me, I am not going to build it. I'm not going to put it out there, because that's adding to the noise. That's adding to the problem. That adds to people's paralysis and stuckness where they're doing the work but not getting the results. It erodes their confidence. I don't want to put more of that out into the world. So when people ask me but what about if people I want to work with lots of people? Great. Work with lots of people for free, where again, think about it. Who do you want to work with? People who are super committed and are willing to take ownership of their results? Or people who are I want to try this and I want to see if it works for me and I'm not really sure. And I'm I also have 300 other ideas. Who do you want to work with, right? So the free people get your resources, but they don't get your time, they don't get your headspace, and they don't get your heart space. Your clients who pay you a super premium to work with you will get all of you. And because you can bring all of you to them, they will get better results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great model. I love it. One thing that I really just keep hammering in the content, like Content Machine or whatever it is that we're teaching people how to repurpose your content and engage all of that. The thing that makes it engaging is that authenticity and the story and the transfer of emotion. And it's the same thing that we're talking about here. I'm just talking about using traditional marketing techniques to kind of make your message actually count when you're going to put it out.
Absolutely.
Instead of it just being the traditional marketing, spam crap that goes out.
Totally.
If you're going to put it out there, be authentic.
Exactly. And I can so see once people have worked with us and they have that messaging and they have the models, then if they want to automate it and things like that, what you do and the way you think and the genius that you bring to the table is going to be so freaking powerful, because we've got what goes into it and you've got the system that supports it, which is beautiful. So yeah lots of alignment here. Exactly.
Okay, amazing. Is there anything else that we have missed or you'd like to impart?
No, I think that you just need to get really clear and give yourself permission to go after what you want. And I want to be real clear about what I mean by that, because it's not another internet meme here. What you want, a lot of people mistake vision because it's got the word vision in it. People think vision and they think about the things they can see, the house, the car, the money in the bank, the whatever the trappings are of that vision, of that success. The way we teach our clients to do it and the way that I have known to do it, that has been much more effective. And this is maybe a more feminine way of going about it, not that masculine hustle energy where you control everything. I'm not. The less of a control freak I am, the more abundance I seem to create. And God knows it's much easier. So So the way that we teach, and we actually teach this in our program as a process, is you want to get whatever the house represents, the house on the lake, the fast car, the fill in the blank with whatever the vision is that you've probably written out already, right? Think about what is the feeling that it evokes for you. Why is that so important? It's never about the car. It's never about the house. It's never about any of those things. You have to figure out what is the core feeling that you want to feel every day when you wake up. Figure out what that feeling is. It can be peace. It might be joy. It might be love. It might be acceptance. There's lots of different shades, and one of these is going to like hit you, and it's going to be like that's what I want. If I could just have that, all of the money, all of the energy, all of the accolades, all of the credentials, all of that, actually, that's the end goal for everything that I'm doing right now. I'm going to blow your mind. Ready? Yep. It blew my mind when it happened to me. Feelings are always, capital A, always generated from inside you. They're completely 100% unhooked from what's going on outside. It's weird. We don't realize this because we think, oh, you're making me angry. You're making me blah, blah, blah. You make me feel this. This happens. Therefore, I feel X, Y, or Z. That's how we've been programmed to be. But the truth of the matter is the feeling is always generated from inside you. And if you don't believe me, think about it. You can have a beautiful woman walk up to a man at a bar. And if the man is super insecure, he's going to react a particular way because it triggers a certain feeling in him. The same outward circumstance will trigger a different feeling in him versus a man who is completely confident in his being. When that woman walks up to him, he's going to receive her completely differently, right? The same thing that happens to you. Someone pays you a compliment. You might feel really self-conscious, or you might really accept it and love it. Why? Because it is a reflection of what's already inside you. So what I do as a practice every damn day is I sit and I wash my body. I wash my being, my cells, my internal state in whatever the feeling is that I most want to feel. And I just do it as a practice. It doesn't have to come from anybody or anything. It's not conditional. It's unconditional. This is self-acceptance. This is self-trust. This is truth. This is capital T truth, right? I can sit there and I can feel that feeling as a practice. And when you can learn to start doing this and you start having a practice that you do this more often, what ends up happening is you put out that vibe. More people are attracted to that vibe. Who do we want to be around, right? The person who most accepts themselves is super easygoing and easy to be around with. The person who can see us and not judge us, but in fact bring compassion to the table because they've stopped judging themselves. That's the person everybody wants to be around, right? Now people will come to you. That's how you magnetize. Now, when you tell a story, it's going to be with a different energy, same words, different energy. Again, this is why you can't templatize this process. We have templates, but they're the starting point, and we work them in conjunction with this internal healing. That's why it works so well. That's why your authentic voice comes out. If there's pain there, you own the pain. And so one of the best ways that I know the way that I've manifested this beautiful space, I used to think I wanted to live in a house, and it was a particular kind of house, and it had a backyard, and it had this and that and the other thing. And I couldn't find a house that matched it. And it was so frustrating. So if you're in that place where you're like, I know what I want, I see the vision, I see it, right? So I made this mistake. That's how I know to tell you about it. I've made this mistake. I looked at the vision and I was like, fucking hell, I cannot find a house that fits the vision, or any houses that come close are like $1 gajillion and I can't afford them. So I couldn't find it. And then I was like, you know what? I know better than this. So I brought myself back to center and I was like, what is the feeling I want to feel in this house? I want lots of light. I want it to be filled with love. I want to have lots of little voices. I want to have like big noisy brunches. I want to have loads of like feasts, food. I love feeding people. So I want food. I want this feeling of belonging, of family, of home, of safety. So I started just looking around my then pokey little apartment and being like, okay, how can I create that feeling here? I'm here, first world problems, right? I'm not in a tent being bombed in Afghanistan right now. I'm fucking here in the first world, safe. Let me bring that feeling here and stop making this something it's not. So I started doing that. Again, I started within, I can't remember how many weeks. It was weeks though. It was not more than that. We found out that our next door neighbor, we live in a condo building. So we own a condo. And then our next door neighbor who owns the condo next to us, that was bigger than ours, was moving out. He had bought a house and he was looking to rent. And I was like, wait a minute. Not only will I get all the bedrooms that I wanted, all the bathrooms that I wanted, but I would get 2 kitchens. 2 kitchens. Remember the girl who wanted all the food and the feasting and all that jazz? So now I have a Costco fucking kitchen. 1 kitchen is my Costco storage kitchen. How bougie is that? Yeah. And one is my like beauty. And both houses are filled with light. There are plants all over the place. Like we have brunches that are not during a pandemic, but obviously before that, lots of kids running underfoot. Like it's everything that I wanted. But it came in a completely different way than I expected. And it's because I knew the feeling. I recognized it when it showed up. So if you want my advice, figure out what your feeling is so that you can recognize it when it shows up. Because if you're telling yourself you want love and you think love only shows up as a tall blonde, then that short, dark guy that is your perfect match, that has been trying to love you despite yourself this whole time, you're not going to notice him. And that's a mistake. That's a mistake I decided to stop making.
Yep. That's awesome. Which I'm sure Pat loves you for as well.
He's pretty smoking hot though, actually. But yeah, totally. Yes, but it is actually, it's funny. You bring that up. It's totally true. When I stopped needing everything to be a particular way or fit my vision of what it was supposed to be, and I started celebrating what it actually was, everything became more of what I needed it to be anyway. Big fat hairy surprise. I know. The universe loves to say I told you so. It is what it is.
Totally does. It's that book U Squared. Have you read that one?
Yeah. It's so good.
Exact same thing. Love it.
Totally.
Okay. So one more time, where can people find you? I know you mentioned the Facebook group.
Yes. So a really good place if you're on Facebook at all, and if you're not, get in there just to get on this group. It's called Messaging That Makes Money. Make sure to answer the questions because the admins are extremely strict. This is a very high quality group. So it's not for riffraff. It's for coaches and consultants and experts and service providers who are looking to unhook the time and value equation and understand how to bring their gifts into a different context so that they can scale their businesses and scale the impact that they make. Okay, so that's Messaging That Makes Money on Facebook. You could also go to impactwithinfluence.com. So that's impactwithinfluence.com. And there is a 30-minute training where I walk you through the exact frameworks that we take our coaches and consultant clients through that have helped them, stop spending money on all the things, stop building complicated funnels and shit, and actually monetizing and having clients and businesses that they love waking up to, where they're feeling their core desired emotion on the daily. And they've got a business that fits that supports that. Okay, so that's a free 30-minute training that you can get into. And then I'm on Instagram at Life with Geeta. That's Geeta, 2 E's. I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. Those would be the places. My group is probably the best way to really interact with me. I go live in there at the moment, at least as of this recording, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So ask me questions. Tell me what you want from me. And again, I'm listening. I really listen. One of the things we teach our clients to do is to really listen. I listen for what you tell me you want, and I will listen for what you actually need, and I will deliver it to you. That's what we do. Thanks, Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all your time and being on here. What a fantastic guest. We'll probably have to have you back again.
Yes, please. That would be lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.